there's a good chance this is a message you need to hear because this is an epidemic. So many Muslims are delaying their prayers and you don't understand the actual consequences of it. Now look, I used to be the type of person who always delays their prayers, especially like Zuhur prayer and Asr prayer. I used to pray them as late as possible. And I realized that this is such a bad habit. Once I actually changed this in my life, I realized that so many other parts of my life changed for the better. So it's almost like when you get your prayers in check, everything else gets in check. And I mean, this is what Allah says. Prayer is probably the most essential part of your life as a Muslim. That's why it's the second pillar of Islam right after taking your shahada. And the Prophet ﷺ even said that the best deed you can do is prayer at its fixed time. And notice how he said at its fixed time, because it's very important to make sure you're punctual with your prayers. And really, I want you to think about it like this. The first thing you say in your prayer is Allahu Akbar. Now, what does Allahu Akbar really mean? What it means is that Allah is greater. So as soon as you enter prayer, you're saying that whatever you have in your dunya, whatever work you have, whatever money you have, all of that is nothing in comparison to Allah because Allah is greater. So if you're delaying prayer to maybe watch this video or watch this soccer game or whatever is going on, you're basically saying that this video or this soccer game is better than Allah in a way. And of course, you don't say it with your mouth, but at the end of the day, your actions speak louder than words. So this is something very dangerous. And this is one of the reasons why Allah in the Quran equated neglecting prayer to following lusts and desires. So really it shows a lack of discipline with time. But the thing is, if you're undisciplined with time, your whole life is going to get destroyed. I mean, you could just imagine you getting into your 50s or your 60s, getting into old age, and you realize that all the time you had got stripped away from you because you used it wrong. I mean, I don't know about you, but to me, that's one of the most devastating feelings to have. Being old and realizing you wasted your life. Or even worse than that, on the day of judgment or in the grave, realizing that you wasted your time in this life. And instead, you should have used it to pray and do more ibadah. So this is something I noticed when I actually started to get more punctual with my prayers, is that my time had more barakah. You might have heard this before, but what barakah in your time means is that your time just feels more productive. You feel like you get more out of the same amount of time. And I realized once I was strict on my prayers, once I prayed them at their specific times, ideally as soon as the time came, I was way more productive and I got way more done, even in the same amount of time. Not only that, but if you think about it, when you're delaying your prayers, since prayer is such an integral part of your life and prayer brings about so many good things, when you're delaying your prayer, you're delaying all of these good things. For example, it may be the case that your rizq, meaning your provision, maybe your financial sustenance, gets delayed just because you delay your prayer. Because at the end of the day, Allah is the one in control, and prayer is basically having a connection or having a talk with Allah. So like, bro, why would you ever want to waste a single second doing anything other than praying? At least when it's time to pray. Because you're delaying all of the good things that could come into your life just to do whatever else. Maybe watch a video or watch whatever thing that's really not benefiting you. And another thing I realize is this practice of delaying prayer encourages procrastination. You'll realize that the people who procrastinate in every realm of life, maybe your homework, maybe your work, maybe starting whatever project, you also probably procrastinate on your prayers. These things are almost connected in such a way where one leads to the other. If you suffer from this problem of procrastination, which from what I see pretty much everyone does, right? What you need to do is start praying at the specified time, because this builds that discipline in you with time. It makes it so that you build up that muscle of doing action even though you feel like procrastinating. And at the end of the day, that's what's going to lead you to stopping your bad habits of procrastination with all realms of life, not even just your religion. So how do you stop delaying your prayer? There are a few things, and one of the greatest things you can do is go to the masjid more. The reason why is because the masjid is strict. You're always going to have to pray at this specific time, and it's not like because you came late, they're going to stop the salah and wait for you. No, they're just going to keep going. So that means that you don't get to delay the time. You have to pray at whatever time is specified by the masjid. So I noticed when I went to the masjid more, it was way easier to get on top of my prayers in terms of praying them on its specific time. And on top of that, I'll just say there's so much barakah in going to the masjid. Honestly, you're missing out. Even if you have to travel a long distance or you have to walk a lot, there's so much benefit to it that it's something that you really need to get into. The next point is to structure your day around prayer. And this is something I was thinking of, but it's one of the most beautiful parts of prayer. Sometimes it feels annoying to pray 5 times a day because it feels like as soon as you get done with one prayer, you have to do another. But really, I realized that this keeps you in check. And this is one of the best ways to make sure you're productive. Because think about a non-Muslim. They could go throughout the whole day scrolling for 8 hours. But even if we want to do that, we would have to at least take breaks to pray. And that means you'll never truly be able to binge on something for a really long time because you're going to have to stop and pray. So it actually keeps you in check by making sure you're at least doing something productive in the day. So what I recommend you do is create some sort of schedule and structure in your day around your prayers. And this is very simple. Write down all the times for each of your prayers and then just put in tasks you do, maybe before the prayer or after the prayer. Maybe, for example, after you pray Zuhur, that's the time you eat lunch. And then maybe after Asr is the time you want to work out. At the end of the day, it's all up to you. But if you add this schedule and you make it revolve around your prayers, you'll realize it's a lot easier to stay on your prayers. And not only that, but you'll also stop procrastinating. It's also going to be a lot more easier to stay productive. And here's a little thing you might not know, but Asr is actually the most important prayer of the day, according to the Prophet ﷺ. So you should really emphasize this prayer and, if you can, of course, go to the masjid for it. The next point is to wake up for Fajr. And this is something completely not negotiable. You really need to start waking up for Fajr if you're not. Waking up for Fajr basically sets a pace for your whole day. And of course it takes discipline, but you'll realize there's so much benefit to it. In fact, I noticed in my own life, the days where maybe I sleep through my alarm and I don't wake up for Fajr out of forgetfulness, those days end up a lot worse. I get less done and I just feel less fulfilled with the day just because I did it out of forgetfulness. Also, it's super beneficial to start your day right after Fajr. Now anyway, there are a few valid reasons to delay your prayer. Like for example, in extreme heat, and also with the Isha prayer, you actually want to delay it right before you sleep. But honestly, this is such a missed opportunity due to people's laziness. There's no reason why you should be delaying prayer, especially when you realize the barakah behind it. That's all I have for this video. Don't forget to nasa making dua to Allah. Check out Clean Islamic Shiwa in the description. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.